Welcome to the Inspire Collective podcast, where our goal is to inspire Christian men and women in the marketplace with all they need to positively influence those around them for God's kingdom. My name is Chris Bowen, and today we're sitting down with Demarius Hardy. Demarius is an author, business mentor, and the founder and CEO of Candy Jar and More LLC. We'll be discussing his founding and scaling of his business and his advice to other entrepreneurs. So let's get started. Demarius, it is such a blessing and an honor to have you with us here on the Inspire Collective today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's going to be a great day. We always inspire young entrepreneurs, and we know that you are a young entrepreneur and you got a lot of great things going on for you. So maybe for those listeners that don't know about you or what you do, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're passionate about.
Okay, well, I'm Demarius Hardy. I reside in Wake Forest, North Carolina, and I am a marketplace entrepreneur and a CEO of the Candy Jar. I am someone who motivates. I like to motivate, inspire, and educate individuals on how to obtain success in the marketplace. One of my greatest passions is to cultivate and sharpen entrepreneurs that I come in contact with and those aspiring to become change agents in the earth.
That is awesome. And that's what we need today is we need somebody that's going to truly be a change agent. And I like to give that analogy of Clorox. When we go in the store, we buy Clorox, the very first thing that we do is we tighten that lid because we know whatever it touches, it's going to change. So we're glad that you are a change agent in your community and with your audience. So was the Candy Jar LLC, Candy Jar and More LLC, your first business venture? We know that you're very successful in the candy business. So was that your very first adventure?
No, actually it wasn't. My very first business venture was the King's Knot. It's a bow tie company. And to this day, we make bow ties for those who want them custom made with different fabrics of their choosing. We also owned a restaurant. It's called the King's Bistro. And that was something, and it didn't go as well because there was a lot of issues in our kitchen and it was housed inside of a hotel and they didn't want to spend the money to fix it. And so that's where I started, the bow ties.
Wow, that's awesome. And we know that most of our guests have started several companies before they usually hit the one that really makes it big like you yourself have done. And we realize that sometimes it takes up to 7 failures to have one success. And we're glad that you found that place of success. And that's what we do here at the Inspire Collective is give stories of people who have made success in their entrepreneurship and to really go to that next level. And you have truly done that with the Candy Jar and More LLC. So what words of advice would you give to entrepreneurs that are listening and pertaining to starting and scaling a new business?
Okay. Well, I would tell them first you have to identify your niche. You got to figure out what it is that you are absolutely great at doing. Focus on those goals and become an expert at your brand. I also would tell them that it's important to create momentum, that type of momentum that will fuel the purpose. Because you're not always going to have those good days, but you're going to have to maintain momentum to keep pursuing toward the goal, your ultimate goal. And, when you hit those challenges, remain consistent. Don't allow the road bumps and the potholes to cause you to quit or to stop. You got to keep persevering through that.
Wow. Here at the Inspire Collective, we talk a lot about developing that niche or niche, however you want to say it. But we really identify the importance of finding that place of excellence of what you do well. And that's what you've explained to our audience today, is really finding out what you're passionate about and what you do well. So the Candy Jar store is now in more than 10 locations. So what have been some of the challenges? I know that people look at your success story and say, wow, 10 stores, it must be all glamorous and glorious. But now you're in 10 locations, and I know there must be challenges. So what kind of challenges did you and your team have to overcome?
We had many of them. We had many challenges. I will tell you that COVID was...
I'm sure that's encouraging to our audience today. So we spin our wheels.
It's not coming without a fight, I'll tell you that. But I think the biggest challenge for me was developing a system that was manageable by the team leaders, by those who or over those stores, those who are regionals, over the managers, developing a system that was manageable, and the process of eliminating and reducing staff because of COVID or their work performance. It did, sometimes what they would do would not coincide in our business policy and procedures and what it is that we had for the ultimate vision of the candy jar. And so we did deal with those challenges. Like I said, trying to duplicate a system throughout the company was one of our most biggest challenges.
Wow. Wow. So now, for those that maybe that don't know about the Candy Jar and More LLC, where are you actually located? Are you guys freestanding stores? You in malls? You're in one state, several states? Where exactly can they find you?
Okay, we're in 3 different states, and you can find us in shopping malls. Most of all of our locations, well, actually all of them are located inside malls, usually near the center court of malls or by food courts. And so we have great presence in the malls. You cannot miss any of our locations. They're very bright and fun.
Okay. So whenever you come into your store, what can we expect? What's there? What's in front of us? What kind of candies do you actually sell at the Candy Jar and More?
Well, I'll tell you, at all of our locations, you're going to see a big piñata. It's in the shape of, it's a Chase, the cartoon character Chase. You're going to find him in all of our stores. He's kind of like our little brand ambassador. And you're going to first be greeted by one of our staff that's going to say, "Welcome to the Candy Jar." And then they're going to begin to share with you the way the process works of picking out a jar or bag. We are known as the home of the refillable candy jar, right? You buy your jar, you fill it up that day for free. Every time you come back, you're going to pay half price to refill the jar. But we have happy hour every single day at 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. You can refill your jar for less than half of the price. And so 5 to 6 every day is very busy for us because people are coming to refill those candy jars. So you're going to find a clean store, a great atmosphere. It's going to be a fun environment. We even have children's sections where they can color while the parents get the candy if they want. They have televisions playing cartoons all day long. So it's a very fun environment.
That's awesome. I'm very creative, so I just got an idea when you were sharing your story with us. Instead of the kids having a coloring area, why don't you give that to the parents and let the kids buy the candy?
We will have a lot to clean up.
And they'd probably sell a whole lot more candy, though. They could be going out with 20 jars. So let me make sure that we understand for our viewers. You go in to your store, you pick out a jar. Are they different size jars?
Yes, we have different sizes. We have a 16-ounce jar. We have a 32-ounce jar. And in every season, we have a holiday jar. That's usually around 25-ounce jar. And it has decor on it. And those are jars that you purchase, and you own that jar, and it has a vinyl logo on it, a candy jar logo that for our brand. And you fill that jar, you dump it, you can mix it with any candies that you like, take it out of there, and keep coming back to refill it. And that's our tool of retention. I base the success on our numbers, not primarily on the amount of people who come in, but the people who return with those jars.
Wow. Bring those jars back in and fill them up. And you can do that as often as you desire, huh?
Yes, as often as you like.
And that sounds dangerous because I love sweets, okay? Is there anything that you wish that you knew at the beginning of the journey of the Candy Jar and More that you would have done a little bit different as an entrepreneur as you started these? Of course, I'm sure that maybe you didn't even think it was going to explode as much as it has now in 10 locations and still growing. Is there anything you would have done different at the beginning in store number 1?
I would have not allowed my zeal to make me run so fast at this, because in the beginning, I put Candy Jar in a lot of kiosks. And I realized that wasn't the best option. And a lot of people have candy kiosks in malls. However, I found that inline stores are better. Because it takes a special kind of person to run a kiosk. You have to be engaging with people constantly who are walking by in the middle of a mall. But I found that inline stores were the way to go. So I would have waited until I had the investment to really jump into inlines. It's a greater investment, but it's a greater return, in my opinion.
Mhm. Yeah, but you found that again, that niche, that this is what didn't work, so this is
Oh, yeah,
what does work. And so when you come
absolutely.
in your store and you find that candy jar and you fill that thing up, it's got to be exciting watching people. People get excited when they start talking about sugar and they
Oh, yeah.
see the sugar. So I've seen some of the photos. I've never been to one of your stores yet. Is it something that you can have shipped to your house, or is it simply something you have to come into?
It's something at this moment that you come into. We are making a great investment in building this interactive website where you can actually hit the candy and watch it jump into your jar online. And so soon we'll be launching this incredible website where candy can be purchased and shipped to your home.
Yeah, I love the idea that we had talked about offline, and now bringing it here onto the show today. That you don't even have the website up yet; it's in process. It's being worked on because you've opened 10 stores in the last 2 years. I can't even imagine that kind of growth and how fast and how things are moving so quickly. That even right now the website's not even up because of the growth that you're having and experiencing. So that's what we're really trying to find and get the heart of people today. So we just thank everybody today. We're sitting down with Demarius Hardy today, and he is the owner. He is not only the owner of this fantastic candy jar and more, he is a father, a husband, an author, a business mentor, and of course, the founder and CEO of the Candy Jar and More. The Candy Jar store is less than 2 years old and is in more than 10 locations, and with more plans of expansions in that North Carolina area. So, young entrepreneurs, listen to his heart. 2 years, 10 stores already, and growing very, very fast. So, what future plans do you actually have for the Candy Jar brand?
Well, we are our biggest goal is to open 100 locations
Wow.
worldwide, and we're also, and I don't think I shared this with you, but we are purchasing a tractor trailer to do a mobile candy jar unit
Wow.
where we will be in different states and cities, and they'll be able to walk into the truck and scoop and refill jars when we're in their area. So that's something that we're doing. We want to provide opportunity for employment for as many people as possible.
You're called by Jesus to be a change maker. But sometimes we miss the connection between our God given purpose and our business world leadership. That's why we created the Inspire magazine, the #1 resource for the church in the marketplace. Right now, you can enjoy a 1-year subscription to Inspire magazine absolutely free. You can get access to conversation with leaders from numerous industries, men and women who know what it's like to lead practically while staying spiritually healthy. To read our most recent issue and to learn more about a free annual subscription, visit us at inspirecollective.com/magazine to take the next step in your leadership journey today.
That's awesome. So when you say that, I imagine this huge truck. Is there any thoughts in mind for the food trucks? There are food trucks at the city I live in now. We've got an entire park that just has food trucks. They're lined up, probably 30 of them side by side by side, that's open every day for lunch. What a great idea. Do you have any thoughts or plans of putting them in food trucks, smaller trucks that are portable to go to parties and events and things like that?
Yes, yes, yes. We currently do that. We do that with our cargo transportation, and we call that the candy buffet, where
Mm.
we will set up at your wedding, we'll set up at your corporate event, birthday parties, retirement parties, and you have the opportunity to pick out the type of candies you want, the certain colors that you want, and we'll go to the event, set it up for you, and we'll provide packages with free jars or however you'd like to do it. And so, yeah, we do that. And we're going to continue to expand in that arena.
Wow. Now you said you're in 3 states already, and this plans on being something that's going to go global. What 3 states are you currently in?
Okay. Well, we are currently in North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia.
Okay, awesome, awesome. That is great. So we got to get some in these other states of our viewers that are listening, so they can see customer service at its best and service truly at its best. It's one of the things that we really believe that's helping young entrepreneurs now is getting back to that thing that you have mentioned several times about the ambience, the atmosphere of it being very fun and festive. So great customer service. So where can people get in touch with you and learn more? We know that website is still being made, but how can they actually get in contact with you?
Well, they can follow us on our Facebook page, The Candy Jar, And we also have an Instagram, the Candy Jar _Raleigh. You can find us there. You can DM us, and we'll respond immediately with your request or for more information.
Awesome. That is great. So I know that on our podcast every week, we have a lot of people that are really, really saying, I got an idea inside of me, but I'm afraid to launch out and to really pursue that dream. What would you say to a young entrepreneur that's listening today that you're saying it's time, just to take wings and fly with that dream? How would you encourage them to do that?
Well, if you are an entrepreneur or if you're dreaming to become one, you got to write that vision. You have to, in my opinion, it's important to embrace the process. These things don't happen overnight. They really don't. You have to embrace process, create a system that's progressive, right? And always be willing to make the necessary adjustments for improving the quality of what it is that you're trying to do. We are in a progressive world. Things are always changing, and you have got to, you've got to have something that you cannot sleep until that thing is done, until you are seeing the manifestation of that goal being completed. And you have to be willing to adapt to growth and the changes that come with growth. And I always tell people, no one's going to be excited about something you're not excited about. When we are excited about our vision, our dream, our goals, that then and only then can we expect and see other people jump aboard and be excited about what we're doing too. I always tell people, because a lot of people think you need a bunch of money, right? And I teach, you don't need money, you just need an idea, right? If you get an idea and you write the vision, right? Writing a vision means not typing a vision, but writing a vision,
Right.
According to Becca tells us, write the vision, make it plain. In my opinion, when you don't write it, it doesn't exist. It has to be written. And then and only then will it take feet and manifest in the natural realm. And so writing that vision, pursuing your brand, getting legal, right? That is something that is very important. Getting an LLC or incorporation. A lot of people are doing things, but they're not doing it right. And I feel that could be the reason why the blessing isn't on it and why it's not prospering. But following the business steps to becoming a legitimate business, and then surrounding yourself with people who believe in you, but first believing in yourself.
Wow. That's dynamic. That's fantastic. If we don't hear anything else, those words should really encourage our entrepreneurs that are listening today, or somebody that's really wanting to reach out and say, there's something inside of me. Because I have found that when you find your niche, you would do that for free of charge if you could, because it's something that wakes you up in the middle of the night, some kind of excitement that's there. And I interview people in my company, 5-Star Development, as well as the Inspire Collective magazine podcast here. And it's amazing to find out that when you see the heart or hear the heart of that person, like you, Demarius, you're very enthusiastic, very energetic, because I can tell it's a part of your DNA to see this excitement in the business that you have launched and God has put in your heart. And at the Inspire Collective, that's what we do. So we go to the marketplace with godly men and women that are doing it and doing it in excellence. You're also an author. Not only do you own the Candy Jar and more, you also are an author and an entrepreneur. So what have you actually written about? What kind of books do you have? And where could people find those books to inspire them to reach out into the deep and do what they're supposed to do?
Okay. All right. Well, I have wrote 2 books, and the third is going to be released in about June. We have the third book being released. First book is called 10 Irrefutable Truths About Spiritual Bastards That Every Pastor Needs to Know. That book is very powerful. It teaches about sonship, to determine if that individual is truly a son, what to look for, determine if they're not an authentic son. A lot of people say, this is my spiritual son and spiritual daughter, but there are things that that spiritual children should do, vice versa. Right. But this book really deals with being able to determine if they are legitimate or not. Second book is called the Gmo Church. We always talk about genetic modified organisms and all of those things. And I deal with organizations that are genetically modified. And we talk about in this book the influence of modern trends on the church. Okay. Third book will be released, like I said, in June. It's entitled Transact It and Pull It Down. This is the business book that everyone has been waiting for. It's 12 powerful business faith steps to help bring your vision to reality. And it talks about my story, how my definition of faith is stepping out on nothing and accomplishing everything, right? And so it talks about how to transact business in the spirit and pull it down into the natural. So that book is going to be coming out. And you can find those prior two books on Amazon.com. You can also find them on Barnes & Nobles as well.
I know that people are saying, wait, I didn't catch the name of that book. So tell me the two books that are now available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon. Give me the titles of those books.
The 10 Irrefutable Truths about Spiritual Pastors that every pastor needs to know. The second book is called the Gmo Church, The Influence of Modern Trends on the Church.
Awesome. There you have it. So you can buy those at Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com. So is there anyone in your life that you feel has been instrumental to help you find success to where you are today?
Yes, two people. My aunt, I have an aunt, her name is Tawanda Huff. She's the owner of Absolute Staffing Agency in Westminster, Maryland. I've watched her work hard and build a multi-million-dollar company and help hundreds, probably thousands of employees change their life. To this day, she gives me advice on pursuing the dream. She helps me keep myself encouraged, and she always tells me the best things to sow into or to invest in the market with the greatest return. The second person would be Mr. Cyril Neesmith. He's the owner, the CEO of Dual Vision Tax and Accountant. He is my CFO. He has been incredible accountability for me and my business. And, and I want to say that it's so important that you have accountability. Right. I remember maybe some years back, he's been my accountant or my CFO for 12 years now. I remember him inviting me into his office and taking my cards and cutting them up in front of me. He said, "You're spending too much." And then the other cards he kept in his desk, he said, "You can come by and get it for an hour and we will agree on the spending." And so I put myself under that accountability, and he's been the most instrumental person in making sure that I have financial stability for the years to come, so that my children and my children's children will be able to reap. I always say when I die, I don't want my family or my children to step into my shoes. I want them to step on my shoulders, because death should elevate their life. And so he's been very instrumental in helping me in that area. And I'm just excited for those two people who have been the greatest impact for me.
That's awesome. And so I know the mentee also then becomes the mentor. So I'm sure there's other people now you're mentoring along the way. And even today here on the Inspire Collective podcast, you're inspiring and encouraging young entrepreneurs that's thinking about what I need to do, how I need to do it. And again, those niches, just finding out what you're passionate about is what I keep hearing you say, and just living that part of your dream out by stepping out in faith and having a plan, also having a great mentor beside you. So as we wrap things up today, do you have any closing words of advice, wisdom, or encouragement that you could share with the Inspire listeners today?
Yes, absolutely. Be willing to be uncomfortable. Those of you who want the success that you dream of, you're going to go through seasons and processes of being uncomfortable and having to really press and persevere and really encouraging yourself. I will say this. A lot of times in life, we find that people are okay with us until we start to exceed where they're not capable of going.
Right.
That's when the greatest fight comes in. So you have to be married to what it is that you're trying to do and be diligent, and don't allow anything or anybody to discourage you from the dream, the business, or what it is that you're trying to do in life. I believe that every single thing that God put in us, he wired us for it before we came to this earth. And so no one has to teach you how to be excited about what your God-given purpose is. And when you know what that is, you pursue that thing. Every one of us were created to solve a problem. I believe one of my I'm called to help with the sweet tooth, right? So when you know that, you do it well. And so be encouraged. I want you listeners to realize that you can be whatever you want to be. This is America. We have opportunities. People do spend money, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have got to project what it is that you want to attract. So that's all I can say on that.
Wow. Great encouragement for our viewers today and our listeners as well. And so I cannot wait to get to one of these candy jars and more at a mall near you. So thank you so much, Demarius, for being with us and for sharing your story of success and entrepreneurship. We thank you so much for your insight.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
We hope this conversation with Demarius Hardy has left you feeling both motivated and inspired. For more content, you can sign up for the Inspire Collective magazine and get your first year subscription absolutely free. For more on this offer, visit us at inspirecollective.com. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week for more of the Inspire Collective podcast.